This is the Hidden Killers Podcast with Tony Brueski.
Featuring defense attorney, Hidden Killers daily contributor, and host of the Defense Diaries podcast, Bob Motta.
Let's walk over to Ruby Franke and Jody Hildebrandt. We learned in the last week or so just what a wonderful or not so wonderful therapist and marriage counselor Jody Hildebrandt was. Many people coming out of the woodwork who once saw her and talking about how horrible it was and how she ruined marriages and very much seemingly had a vendetta against men. My question to you as a defense attorney, do these people have a case against Jody Hildebrandt? Not that there may be much to get, but the damage that was done and how far off the rails she went in counseling these people, I would think that could be something.
You're talking about civil suits.
Yeah.
I mean, look, the bottom line is that you can sue anybody in this country for anything. The question is, can you make the case? And man, I would have to say it's interesting because people go to counseling and they're going in terms of trying to seek help, right?
Sure.
And they're putting their trust into individuals who claim that they have the training and education to give the people the tools that they need. And when they're given bad advice that they know that their patients are going to more likely than not incorporate into their own lives, I think there could be some liability there, man. I think it could be like various causes of action. I could see a world in which there's like a decent intentional infliction of emotional distress claim. I think there could certainly be a civil fraud claim. There's a lot of different avenues that they can take to try to get these people held liable civilly, which ultimately relates not into jail time, but instead relates into money damages. But yeah, man, I think that, and I'm certain that they will be sued. I mean, there's going to be plaintiffs' attorneys out there that are like, yeah, I'll take it. I mean, because like first thing you look at is a plaintiff's counsel in a civil case. Is there a deep pocket? Is there there's no point in suing somebody for money if they don't have money.
Sure.
So they're going to look at that. And between the two of them, then it's mostly Hildebrandt is the one that they'd be going after, obviously, in terms of a civil suit there. But it could also be argued that Jody as well. I mean, if people were watching that, and taking it as like guideposts on how to parent from her on her streams, maybe, but definitely it's the counseling side of it, man. That's a whole different thing because people are paying money to go in and get counseling from. It's like if you have marriage issues or parenting issues and you're paying a counselor to say, hey, we're having a hard time dealing with this in our relationship with each other or with our children, we need help. And then they're giving it and they're giving really bad advice that's ending up in like disastrous situations. Yeah. I mean, there's something there, man, for certain.
It'll be very interesting to watch when we're looking at the charges that are against Ruby and Jody right now. There's obviously not a murder involved here. Child abuse is a very serious thing, but we also see people every day being brought up on these charges, and we're oftentimes shocked at sometimes how lenient some of those punishments can be. Certainly, this is a high-profile case, but it doesn't necessarily then equate to a stronger sentence or anything of that, or a more tough sentence because of how well-known it is. What do you think these two face? I mean, what do they potentially face here if they are criminally found guilty of the abuse? Yeah,
I mean, it's definitely a prison stint. I can't give you, I haven't looked up what the potential penalties are with respect to the different felonies over in that state. But I mean, it's essentially with the number of counts, certainly could be prison time.
Yeah.
And it could be, I mean, we're not talking like decades, but it could definitely be a few years. And again, I don't know exactly how many counts they've been charged with at this point. I have not dug that deep into the case.
Sure.
I've been kind of looking into it. If you could tell me, look, they have 7 counts of this and this, and I pull up the statute, I'll be able to tell you. It's serious charges. I mean, it's serious charges. The things that they have in their favor are the fact that they probably don't have any criminal background. And when the facts come out, that'll determine if they're found guilty, if the judge who's sitting on the trial and isn't necessarily the trier of fact, but ultimately will be the one that will decide on the sentencing, finds that it was like, yeah, maybe I disagree with the parenting in terms of choices they made, but and maybe it does fit the statute, but the court's job isn't to determine how people can and can't parent their children. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? Because there's going to be aspects of it that aren't going to fall under the statute in terms of, I keep coming back to the one where like one of the kids, like who's like is 6 and it's one of her chores to make her own sandwich before she goes to school, and she forgot, and the school's calling saying, look, you know, she's here without a lunch. Now, like in my kid's school, like for whatever reason we forget a lunch, they give them like a PB&J. Yeah, they don't have the kids starve. But it's like here she's like, I like do not feed them. Like that is her job. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't know if that's child abuse. Like I would never personally do that with my kid. Sure. But I don't have like 6 kids. Yeah. That I'm trying to like manage, and where you're giving the kids more responsibility than you might if you've got, like me, a spoiled only child. It's like I had all my mom's attention because there was no one else to give it to. So, I mean, there's parts of it where I think that'll come out that they won't fit the statute in terms of it. But, you know, I mean, I also think that there's going to be some real cruelty that's going to come out that will fit the statute. So ultimately, when the judge is going to land on the sentencing, the judge is going to have to balance that. But yeah, and the judge will hear all the evidence. Yep. You know what I mean?
I'll come out.
So, yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see. But, yeah, I don't have a clear answer because and I don't want to give you inaccurate information because I don't know how many counts there are, and I don't know exactly what the counts are in terms of how many they have and what the penalties are in that state.
You're consuming the Hidden Killers podcast.
Want more? Start binging on all of our true crime podcasts right now through Apple Podcasts and get an ad-free experience when you sign up to be a True Crime Today Premium Plus member exclusively on Apple Podcasts.
More of the Hidden Killers podcast dropping soon.
Press subscribe now.